Is it possible for a man to know everything and never die? That is the question Voltaire, the great Enlightenment philosopher, asked about the Comte de Saint-Germain. It sounds like the premise of a fantasy novel. But in the mid-18th century, this wasn't fiction. It was the talk of every royal court in Europe. We are going to unravel the tangled thread of a man who walked the line between historical fact and immortal fiction. Let's start with what we actually know, the hard data. The Comte de Saint-Germain was a real person. He pops up in the historical record around the 1740s. He wasn't a ghost. He was a flesh-and-blood courtier who dazzled high society in London and Paris. Imagine a man who could walk into a room and speak French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian fluently, often switching between them, without a second thought. He wasn't just a linguist, though. He was a virtuoso violinist who could play an entire concerto without sheet music, and a composer whose works are actually preserved in the British Museum. But here is where the tapestry gets a little strange. This man was fabulously wealthy. We are talking diamonds on his shoe buckles, and rubies on his snuff boxes. Yet he had no bankers. No known streams of income. He didn't even eat in public. While guests at dinner parties feasted, he would sit and sip mineral water, regaling them with stories of the past. This brings us to the alchemist aspect of his life. In the 1700s, the line between chemistry and magic was thin. Saint-Germain walked right on that edge. On one hand, he was a serious scientist. He set up laboratories to create new dyes for fabrics and treatments for leather. King Louis XV actually gave him a suite of rooms at the Château de Chambord just to conduct these experiments. But on the other hand, he claimed he could fuse small diamonds into larger ones and remove flaws from precious stones. He even hinted he possessed the universal medicine, an elixir that could prolong life. That elixir is the key to his legend. You see, people believed he stopped aging. There is a famous anecdote involving the Countess de Gourgy. She met him in Paris in the 1750s, and realized she had met him 50 years prior in Venice. When she pointed out that he looked exactly the same, he didn't deny it. He simply bowed and said, "I am very old." This one conversation sparked a wildfire of rumors that he was centuries old, perhaps even the Wandering Jew, or a survivor from Atlantis. So who was he really? If we strip away the magic, the most plausible theory is that he was the son of Francis Rakoczy II, the exiled prince of Transylvania. This explains the wealth, the education, and the need for secrecy. He was likely hiding his identity to avoid political fallout while acting as a diplomat and secret agent for the French king. In fact, he was deeply involved in back-channel peace negotiations between England and France during the 7 Years' War, until he was outmaneuvered by political rivals. Eventually, mortality caught up with the immortal. Historical records show he died on February 27, 1784, in Eckernford, Germany. While living as a guest of Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel, he was buried. The end of the story. Or was it? This is where the narrative shifts from history to mythology. After his death, people kept seeing him. He supposedly appeared to Marie Antoinette to warn her of the French Revolution. By the 19th and 20th centuries, the man became a master. Theosophists like Helena Blavatsky and Annie Besant claimed he was an ascended master, a spiritual being guiding humanity. Guy Ballard, founder of the I Am activity, claimed he met Saint-Germain on Mount Shasta in California in 1930, where the Count introduced him to the violet flame of spiritual energy. From courtier to diplomat, from alchemist to ascended master, Saint-Germain transformed from a man into a mirror. He reflects what we want to see. For the 18th century, he was the master of nature and science. For the modern age, he is a spiritual guide. Whether he was a clever charlatan, a misunderstood genius, or something else entirely, he achieved the one thing he always promised. Through his legend, he never died.